How are we doing? Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to discuss the different kinds of barbecue probes that we use, whether it's for backyard cooking, pitmasters use, or whatever. There's just a few different kinds I want to go through and kind of just tell you how they function with your cook and with your unit. There's a lot of people that seem to get confused when they buy a unit, and the temperature probe that's on the front of it says, well, especially with the new ones that have the digital readouts, with the offsets, or with the gravity smokers, or the pellet, especially the pellet grills, you're setting it to 250. 5 minutes later, it says your grill's up to 250. It sort of is, but is it ready to cook? No. What that is telling you is that the air inside your unit is now heated up to that amount of, whatever you've set your temperature at. So when you have these style of temperature gauges, and they're all the companies that put these out, they all have them pre-installed. A lot of people might add more to them. This one, obviously, I can't because this is glass front, but on your other grills and stuff, I mean, they have one that's got the numbers or whatever, and you can add, if you want to modify it, add more to wherever in your unit. What that's going to do is give you, because these things here, when they measure your temperature and they measure the temperature of your air, it's only a degree around this probe here, because these are considered non-contact probes, which means they don't need contact with anything to give you a reading of what your temperature is inside your unit. So this is just a grill, but I'm going to use this as an example. Depending on how insulated and how well your griddle, I used the griddle this morning, I'm sorry, your smoker is, whether it be pellet smoker, offset, upright, if you got a gravity feed, whatever you have, if those are well insulated and they're made of a heavy material, or if they've got gaskets around the inside doors or whatever, once you close the door and you let the temperature come up and it reaches the desired temperature you want, it's measuring the air temperature that's trapped inside this unit. Does that mean that your food's ready to go? Nah, not necessarily. So what people are doing is they're taking these probes, these metal probes here, and these are what's considered contact probes. These are all metal. Usually the first inch and a half is where you're going to get your reading from. Not to say that if you didn't shove it in further, but this is pretty much where your reading's coming from, is in this first little bit of the probe. People are buying new units, especially these pellet grills. They're setting their digital thing here to 200 degrees. It's up to 200 degrees. And they're like, well, I want to test this out, put the probe in here and see what kind of a temperature reading I'm getting. Now, a lot of people might use aluminum foil. I have some of these clips that you can clip, right onto your grates anywhere you want, and you just feed the probe through. And actually, you don't even need to feed the probe through very far, because, like I said, your more accurate temperature is down near the end of the probe. What this is doing, and I'll explain one thing. What this is doing is it will give you a somewhat of an air temperature, but not designed for that. It's more designed for contact. So what happens is these grates that you have, whether you have porcelain, if you have stainless steel, if you have cast iron, once these grates heat up, it's going to heat this metal up, and then this metal is going to heat this probe up. So that's going to give you a fairly accurate temperature of what your temperature of your grates are. Now this I just have set in the middle, so depending on how big your unit is, the grates over here, once your unit starts heating up for a while, these may get hotter than they are here, and then these ones might not get as hot as they are over here or over here. But people they buy these units and they say, well, you know, my temperature for this probe is only reading a certain amount. It's not as hot as what the temperature is on the outside of your unit says. So this might say 350 or whatever, or 250 or whatever you got it set at, but say this only says, well, it's only reading like 220. Well, that's because the grates are only about that temperature. The air inside your unit, once it's closed, has reached a different temperature. So, for example, over here I have this set. I have it set for 255. It's reading 251. The grate is reading 213 because I have a probe inside of my unit, which is in here. Stupid me. I actually put it towards the front instead of towards the back, or towards the middle, so when I open this door every time, this front part here is probably going to cool that down more than I really want it to. But what that does, especially if you're working at lower temperatures, your grate's not going to get up to 250. It's just you're not producing enough heat for your grate to get up to 250. So the air temperature is going to read that, but your grate's going to be a little bit lower. So that's why you're going to get that fluctuation in temperature. And I know a lot of people complain about that. When they, oh, well, it's not getting, well, it's, see, when pitmasters at all those barbecue joints, they get there, a lot of them get there really early in the morning to fire up their pits, or however, whatever style of cooking that they do. Usually, on the average, almost, you know, between an hour or two, especially if they got huge units, they need to fire those things up early because they want to even their grill out. They want their grill to have even heat. So just because your outside probe here says that temperature doesn't necessarily mean that your food is ready to go on. You want to get these grates up to temperature before you put your food on, because if you don't, and you're putting it on after this, your temperature thing says, you know, oh, I've reached 250. What's happening is now you're putting cool food on these grates that are trying to heat up, and now it's going to take longer for these grates to heat up. You want to let your grill even out in heat. Let your temperature probe on the outside, whether it's digital or whether it's these style or whatever, once it gets to 250, you'd be smart to put a probe in here and let it, once it stops rising and it evens out and it doesn't look like it's rising anymore, that's as far as your temperature grate's going to go. You're ready to put your food on. But you got to give your unit time to even out and heat up across the board. Now with grills, on the other hand, it's a little different because grills are direct heat. It'll heat the grates up faster because the flame is just coming straight up and heating these up really quick. It's direct heating, whereas when you're smoking food and any of your, whatever, your pellets or whatever style smoker you have, you are doing indirect heating. It's taking longer for your unit to heat up than it would be in a grill. So as far as your probes go, you have these two different style of probes. You have the ones built into your unit, and you have these ones that you can use. They're not going to read the same. It's just the way that your unit works. And the other thing is too is, I mean, because you have a lot of these ones here, and this is a dual one. This actually has the metal probe I can do, and then it has on here the infrared. So if I pointed it at, you know, the inside surface of something, it'll give me the temperature. Or even we can come over here, the char griller, the outside of the char griller, the surface, see, is about 105. Now if I lifted this up and took a temperature on the inside of one of these grates, say it's getting up to 214, yeah, see? And it's just, that's the temperature of your grate, and not the same as the temperature of the air in your unit. Because actually, what cooks your food. Yes, the grates cook your food once they're heated up, and it'll start cooking your food from the bottom up, but the rest of what's cooking your food inside your unit is the air, the hot air circulating in this unit, kind of like an air fryer. An air fryer cooks your food. It's that air circulates in here once it's heated up, and it's cooking your food all the way around. That's why you want to make sure that your temperature in your grill or smoker or whatever is all leveled out before you start putting your food on, so your food will cook evenly. If you sit here and put the cold food on grates that aren't heated up, now your food's not going to cook evenly. You might get, the top portion of your brisket might get done faster than the bottom portion. Not to say that, it's couldn't even out in time and they cook evenly from top to bottom, but all those barbecue places want their grills to be even. They want their food to cook evenly. They want their customers to taste the best of what they got. So hopefully this explains a little bit about the difference in your probes and why you might have a fluctuation in your temperature probes that are on your unit compared to your probes that you're using to measure your grate heat or or your temperature of your food, whichever. These things actually work awesome. I love these things. The ones that come with the units, a lot of these pellet grills, and like I have over here, this is the Char Griller gravity feed, which I love. It works well. I've never had any problems with it so far. I like the style of this. It's got good workspace. But a lot of these come with one of their probes or whatever. I don't ever use it for the meat. I don't really know how accurate they are as far as taking temperature that way, but I find them handy to use. Like this comes only with one, even though it's got two places for probes. I only use it just to see what the grate temperature is on the inside compared to the temperature of the air that's circulating inside my unit. Just because sometimes if you get the air temperature where you want it and then you let it level out and you see that, well, maybe your grate temperature is not really where you want it, you can maybe increase your temperature a little bit on your dial. Raise it up maybe 5 degrees and see how much further your grate temperature comes up. But hopefully this was helpful and learned something new. If you did, great. If you didn't, well, you watched this maybe because you were bored. Who knows? If you like it, give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be doing more videos as far as for cooks and maybe some other tips and tricks and some things that we can go over as far as the different units, how they function maybe. And hey, I can't wait to eat my food because my food is going to be done in about 2 hours. Have a good one. See ya.